Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 26 of FTB Interactions. At the end of last episode, we were making storage cells. And they're done now, unsurprisingly. Let's take these out and put them into our storage drives. So I've made 6 total drives. We'll be using, each one holds 10. So we'll be using 2 of them for now. At some point, I'll set one of them up to also have Essentia cells to hold our Thaumcraft Essentia, so we don't need all these jars. But for now, I'll put that off till later because that's going to take some work to craft. So what I also want to do is I want to take down all of these modular storages and put their contents into the drives or into some junk storage units if they're non-stackable items. So let's see, I just requested those junk storage units. And they're done. These are pretty easy to make. It just takes a little bit of this ender alloy, which requires some alloy smelter tasks. But let's start by taking, let's see, how do I want to do this? I think let's just take down all of these. Goodbye, storage. In their place, we'll put these junk storage units. I guess I should make, I'll make 2 more. That way we have a neat 12. Uh-oh. Oh, right, I can't make more because I just took my storage down. That's where the items are stored. Haha, never mind, I won't make 2 more. Anyways, what I want to do is I want to set this to a higher priority storage. 999. So priority 1000 is for dedicated single item type storage. Like this, right, where only a single item type can go in there. I want these to be just lower priority than that. And I want these to be priority, I don't know, 1, I guess we'll do. 1, 0. For now, they're identically the same. All right, so if I put these things in front of that import bus, they should get imported reasonably quickly. I was hoping I'd be a little bit faster than this. Oh well, this will have to do. And then I can suck all these items out of our modular storages, and they'll get stored sometimes in here, and sometimes in a junk storage unit if they fit in there. I guess it's starting from the top one and working our way down from there. And we're all migrated over. There's about 1 full junk storage unit of stuff. So the advantage of storing items in here, right, is that each of these items would take up a type if they were stored in here. And each cell only holds 63 types. So as stands, our one drive has all of its types used up. The other one is about just under halfway. Almost all of our cells are all these cells that have all their types used up have about half their bytes free. 63 types uses up just about 32,000 bytes. So what that tells me is that most of the items that are in here actually, we don't have a tremendous quantity of them, which is, I mean, I guess that's further reinforced by looking here. Any item that has a high quantity of is not stored in digital storage. It's almost all stored in dedicated storages. So I guess it's by design that our digital storage doesn't hold that many different item types. All right, so with that done, let's see what we can do today. I'm thinking it's about time we tackled ore processing, especially of the ores that come off of our, whatever we call this miner, asteroid miner, void ore miner, orbital laser drill. Some of these things we have a lot of, and well, I mean, most of this, like these crystals, we just have to macerate. That's pretty easy to process. But a lot of these dense ores, we have a lot of them, and we may as well turn them into either dusts or ingots, right? Like this dense iron ore, if we just, let's see what the required steps are to process this into iron dust. So we have to smelt or hellfire kiln it. What exactly does a hellfire kiln look like? Oh, it's just like the Thaumcraft one, except with the ports replaced. I see. Well, we have to smelt or hellfire kiln it, and then pulverize it. And then at this point, we can either purify it or not purify it. Wash it and then pulverize it again, or just pulverize it. That basically changes what byproduct you get in the second pulverization step. Honestly, I don't think it makes a huge difference. After that, you have to centrifuge it. I guess you don't even have to centrifuge it, but you might as well centrifuge it to get another byproduct, at which point you have the final dust, which you can cook into an ingot if you choose. So we're going to need a bunch of pulverizers, something to smelt stuff, and maybe ore washers, and definitely centrifuges. I'm thinking we should actually do the processing over in this dimension too, just so we don't have to transmit the items. Well, we have to transmit the items to our overworld anyways. But it might be, I'm thinking it might be easier to just do all the processing in this dimension. So to support that, I'm going to have to expand this platform, but we're also going to have to generate Grytech power here. And I think we might want to do that with the, what's it called? The diesel generator, the diesel engine. Let's see about making the diesel engine. Well, immediately it's a EV machine, so we need EV casings, but that's just titanium. EV motors, which is more titanium and some annealed copper. The only thing here that we don't have, I guess, is this quantum processor. Right? This is made from, quantum assembly? So we have to make quantum processors first. Okay, so yeah, let's do this. Let's make EV circuits and then the diesel engine. And then we can use like an ender tank or whatever to transfer nitro diesel to this dimension and use that to power our ore processing over here. Since we're going to need a lot of EV machines to make EV circuits, we may as well also make the lossless EV cable. So that's Enderium. Now, what exactly does it take to make Enderium? I know in the most recent patch, the temperature to make hot Enderium was reduced significantly to 2500. I think it used to be like 4700 or something, but now this can be made in reasonably normal coils. So we need helium, Enderium dust, and pyrotheum. How much helium did we end up producing out of curiosity? Well, at least... Oh, we filled it up. Oh, so maybe this machine stopped running because... It didn't stop running because it ran out of mana. It stopped running because we ran out of room for helium. Huh. Okay. Well, that's good news, I guess. That means that we have plenty of helium to make Enderium with. Enderium requires this pyrotheum dust to make, and while we could make pyrotheum dust in the mixer through the regular steps, I think it's easier to make it through the centrifuge with these primal enriched eggs because that has a convenient byproduct of deuterium. So if we have a HV centrifuge that's one tier above MV, that'll be plus 5, so 30% per egg of producing one of each dust, and then we get the byproduct deuterium. Seems like a good enough deal to me. So let's make that chicken. I think it's a smart chicken, an infused ender pearl, 2 mana dust, an infinity reagent, and some of this blue water. This is one of the less torturous ways to make chickens, I think. Except for the fact that mana dust is probably not something you want to inhale. Anyways, one more primal chicken coming right up. Looks like one HV centrifuge is only a little bit slower than the output of one chicken, so it's close enough. Anyways, this produces all 4 of the dusts, which I'm storing into caches, and some of this precious deuterium, which I'm storing in a quantum tank that I found in a dungeon. This holds, I think, 640,000 buckets. It's a big tank. The downside is it doesn't keep its inventory when you break it, but it's by far our biggest fluid storage. This deuterium I'll probably use later for fusion, but it's precious enough that I don't want to use a small tank like our these steel drums, which only hold 64,000, because once it fills up, we're going to have to start voiding. So let's get storage buses on everything. We need 4 item storage buses and 1 fluid storage bus. Next thing we have to do is make our Enderium dust. So this is made in a mixer with platinum, lead, and resident ender. And I'm just using a limited item filter to make sure that the slots don't, we don't fill all the slots with lead or something, or platinum if we run out of one or the other. The end result, Enderium, I'm just storing it directly in the output slot here. We'll partition this storage bus to only be for Enderium dust. set it to a high priority. And now we have indarium dust and the pyrotheum to make indarium ingots. Our helium, however, for now is just coming out of a drum. Maybe at some point I'll set up some automated system to make helium. It'll probably involve hooking this guy up to some form of automation sometime down the line. But for now, I'll just place the drum. Let's dive down here. Right up against our blast furnace, if we point the input hatch, it's a little awkward to work down here. If we point the input hatch down and put the drum here, it'll automatically suck the fluid up, which is good enough for now. For now, I'll just get this machine turned back on by putting a slightly larger helium storage here. So this holds 1,620 buckets, which is quite a lot of helium. Now I just need to restock this with endstone, which I have a couple thousand from just from mining miscellaneous things in the end. And this will produce a fair amount of helium, among other things. So into one export bus goes pyrotheum, into another export bus goes indarium dust, and the machine turns on. Now I just have to set this, well, I have to let it make one piece of indarium, and then I can set the level emitter. There's one thing I kind of want to change too with the way I'm cooling my ingots. Right now I just have an export bus sending all the hot ingots into the chest. However, that means for each different hot ingot, I have to configure the bus. And when I go above 9, I need another export bus. Let's see if we can do better than that. By swapping out the chest here with a GregTech chest, I'm allowed to place a filter on it, a GregTech filter. In this case, I want the OR dictionary filter, and I want to use, I want to filter out insert whitelist. And what is the OR dictionary names on these? It's ingot hot something. So ingot hot wildcard, and that means this will only allow items in that match this filter. Then instead of an export bus, I use a storage bus. Let's see, a item storage bus. Put it here. Set this to the highest priority on our network, 10,000. It'll automatically try to store all items here, but only this filter will only allow hot ingots to be stored. So any hot ingots I currently have in our network will not automatically be sent here. That is the downside. But the upside is that now I no longer have to configure this for each item type. All hot ingots that enter the network will automatically be pulled into or will be stored in this chest. Now let's set this to insert only because I never want to extract from this chest. And I do have to make one change here. This, which was previously a storage bus on the output chest from this blast furnace, does have to be turned into an import bus. Now that we've cooled a couple pieces of indarium, let's set this threshold to 5. So I don't know how much indarium we're going to use. Let's set it to 5. Well, no, we'll use it for wires. Set it to 1,000. Stop making indarium at 1,000 pieces. Now we're not going to quite make it that far because we're actually basically out of lead. I have ingots, but I have no lead dust left. So this will make however much indarium it can with the lead I gave it, but it'll stop pretty soon. This indarium also uses a fair bit of platinum. It uses 1 piece of platinum per 2 pieces of indarium. So we're also going to have to process more of our platinum down, but that will be part of the ore processing we're doing later today. My goal with EV machines now is to make the quantum processor and later the quantum assembly, because that's the component in the diesel engine. This is technically, I believe, the IV tier circuit. So while the diesel engine is a EV producer, I guess it uses a IV circuit. Anyways, a quantum processor then doesn't look that bad, with the exception of we have to make qubit CPUs and fiber reinforced circuit boards. The circuit boards are easy. This is this fiber reinforced epoxy resin, which all we need to do is either make, oh no, we have raw carbon fibers. So in fact, let's make this right now. We have to dip raw carbon fibers in our epoxy resin to make this fiber reinforced epoxy resin sheet, which is the basis of the fiber reinforced circuit board. Our epoxy resin is sitting in a drum here, and it's almost like past Jimmy left space right in between these machines for these fiber reinforced sheets. This chemical bath then just needs to be supplied with, let's see, epoxy resin, so that comes from our conduit network. Regular epoxy resin, that should start filling it up, and the carbon fibers, which come from our ME system. We'll give it acceleration cards. I'm not sure if they're necessary here. And that should start filling it with carbon fibers. There we go. And then the output, I'll just, much like here, I'll store in a chest with a storage bus. A chest is somewhat convenient because 27 stacks is a reasonable number to buffer. It's not too many, not too few, and chests are very easy to make. That's the circuit board here taken care of. The nano CPUs and everything else we already make, so let's just take a look at these qubit CPUs. I think there's two recipes for them. First of all, they're upgraded from nano CPU wafers, but we can either do it with superconductor cable, which requires superconductor wire osmium and polytetrafluoroethylene. So we can get osmium right now, but it's a bit of a journey. So let's see if we can make the second recipe work. Improved ender eyes are very easy because we have an infinite supply of radon from our chicken, and all we have to do is give it eyes of ender. So gallium arsenide, how about this? This is made from calcium arsenide dust, MV and low temperature, that's good. And I guess that's gallium and arsenic. Who'd have thought, huh? Do we have arsenic? We definitely have gallium. We have a fair amount of that. Gallium. There's no direct gallium ore. And we have no arsenic, though. What does arsenic come from? Arsenic for now seems to come out of cobaltite dust. So you have to electrolyze that. Takes it a little bit of time, but this is a EV machine that I'm running it in right off a transformer. But it produces one piece of arsenic per 3 input cobaltite, which isn't an awful ratio. Anyways, I'm just going to stock it up with a bunch, and this will produce us a little bit of arsenic. Remember all this radon we got from our chicken earlier? Time to put it to use. Let's add it to our ME system with a fluid storage bus. There we go, and then I just have to run a cable over to here, I guess from here. Using that radon, we send it into a chemical bath to make quantum eyes. Some other infrastructure I recently set up here is I have a laser engraver that engraves our glowstone wafers into regular CPU wafers. Those are stored in a chest that's on a storage bus that's apparently doesn't have its settings set right. There we go. Actually, this can be bidirectional because it is partitioned. All right, so that makes CPU wafers. Then some of those CPU wafers are sent to this chemical reactor, which makes nano wafers. The nano wafers I'm just storing directly in the chemical reactor. Basically, its output slot is my storage buffer for the storage bus. And I will then take some of these nano wafers and turn them into qubit wafers once I'm done producing gallium arsenide. Our electrolyzer processing cobaltite has produced quite a bit of arsenic. Don't go sniffing this stuff. I think it's bad for your health or something. Then again, so are most chemicals we deal with in this game, it seems. Anyways, mix that together into gallium arsenide dust, and a relatively quick trip through the blast furnace turns it into ingots. After turning it, our, what's it called? Arsenic something or another. Gallium arsenide into ingots, we have to turn it into a liquid again. Unfortunately, you can't go directly from the dust to a liquid, so you have to go through the fluid extractor step here. That turns it into this gallium arsenide liquid, which you then react with nano CPU wafers and improved ender eyes to make qubit CPU wafers. However, I overlooked something. This is an EV recipe, and this is an HV chemical reactor. So that's not going to do it. I'm going to need a EV reactor and probably a EV transformer just to step it up, step the voltage up to EV so that I can run a EV chemical reactor here. I swapped our chemical reactor out with the EV one. That's why I say Advanced Chemical Reactor 3. And it's powered by an EV transformer. But as you can see here, we're apparently not producing enough power to run this. I think that's because we're running quite a few machines at the same time, including a few EV machines. We have our one EV blast furnace running, and I guess our EV electrolyzer just stopped running. But actually, with that electrolyzer just stopped, does that mean we have enough power? No. Point is, we need more power until we can make the diesel engine. So let's just slap on a few more turbo diesels. These are HV diesels. Out of stainless steel, you say? Do I have a little bit of it sitting here? 40. Not quite enough, huh? How much does this need? 61 more? Alright, blast furnaces. Start blasting faster. With the help of a time in a bottle, I was able to get our stainless steel crafted and get 4 more diesel generators. So this will produce 4 more amps of HV power once I get some fuel into them. That is equivalent to 1 amp of EV power, but that should mean that now we can run this machine. Yep, and now we're making forward progress on our crafting, which is good. That's the direction you want your progress to go. So this should produce these qubit CPU wafers, or qubit CPU, wafers. All right, let's also set, oopsies, I don't want output, I want the output side here, and a storage bus. I found that by putting the storage bus on the output side, the storage bus will only see the outputs. Whereas if you put the storage bus on some other side, it'll see both the inputs and the outputs. So a small convenience anyways to do it this way. It's definitely not necessary though. You can just remove the incorrect inputs from the storage bus's config. Anyways, once you do that, you just have to plug it in. And that gives us qubit wafers directly accessible from our ME system. When it comes to all of these wafers, the etching time is what really takes a long time, like the chemical reactor step or the laser step. The cutting step is, in comparison, extremely quick. Cutting it with lubricant, it's 15 seconds, and this is MV, so when we're doing it at HV, it'll be less than half of that. So what I'm going to do is I'll just register the cutting recipes as on, oopsies, wrong way. The cutting recipes on demand, and that way we can just let the machine stuff up their output slots to stop them. But if we ever need, when we need to cut the wafers to use the nano CPUs or the qubit CPUs, we can just cut them on demand because that step is, again, relatively quick. With all our different CPU types crafted, I think we're ready to tackle the quantum processor. This requires a EV assembler, which with any luck we'll be able to autocraft. Alright, this is quite the autocrafting task, but what here? I guess it won't even take that long, it just has to make a bunch of wires. Let's hit start and see how long its estimate is. Yeah, its estimate is not very long. The estimate isn't a great estimate because it assumes all tasks take the same amount of time, which is obviously not a true statement, but this entire crafting task will only take 30 seconds. Now this is another EV machine, so it takes a fair bit of power, but I have a EV power line set up here that's being powered right now by transformers that are stepping up our HV power into EV. So here goes. Let's start by trying to make quantum processors. 10 of them should be a good start. And go. Let's make sure our machine is receiving power. Although I'm reasonably confident it should be receiving enough power. Uh-oh. It is clearly not. I guess more diesel generators then. Another 4. I hope this doesn't ask for any more stainless steel. Yeah, 77 more stainless steel. We're not even halfway there. I still have a bunch of stainless steel dust that's being cooked, but it's going to take it a little while. Alright, I'll temporarily turn off this blast furnace, which was making, I think, gallium arsenide. And that should mean that the energy that was powering that will not be enough to power this yet. Too many machines running at once. I went around and turned a couple more blast furnaces off for the time being. And we are now, while we're still underproducing power, we are producing just barely enough that to still make progress on this. And in fact, this one craft might go through without losing any progress to lack of energy. Haha. Anyways, these are now our nano processors. No, these are quantum processors. Even better than nano. And quest complete. These quests are usually pretty nice. Yeah, they reward a couple more processors. Alright, so the next step then is to upgrade these into quantum assemblies. Is it 2 to 1 or 4 to 1? Let's see, it's 2 to 1. Alright, so let's make 4 of these to start. And they get queued up in here. They take a while too, geez. After going through all that work to make quantum assemblies, I think we're finally ready to make diesel engines. So let's store this recipe. I wonder, how many pages am I using? I'm using almost 3 of 5. So I'm going to have to put a couple more pattern thingies in there soon. Anyways, let's see if I can craft one of these. Doesn't know how to make tungsten steel wire. That's an easy fix. We have 115 ingots of tungsten steel. Easy enough to tell that it can turn some of it into wires on demand. What is this recipe? Oh, I already encoded my diesel engine recipe apparently. Alright. Anyways, now let's try to make diesel engines again. Alright, there we go, 1 diesel engine. Now that's only one part of the multi-block. It uses a bunch of other things too. So let me go ahead and craft all these. I think the quest book has a list of them. Yeah, so these are the blocks per diesel engine. Now, they, like other GregTech multi-blocks, can share blocks. So they can share casings and, well, they can only share casings. So intake casings and machine casings, they cannot share the functional blocks. It's pretty important to have a very good titanium source before you really tackle this diesel engine. These engine casings, which take 8 per motor. Well, it's 8 for the first one, and then if you stack them, I guess it only takes 5 per. But they take about 250 titanium for each motor. That's a lot of titanium. The diesel engine is it's a diesel burning generator, and it's built working off memory here, so this might not be, well, here, let's actually move those. I need, where do I want to put this? Let's put it 1 block over here. Alright, so with this side, this plane here being the back, has room for 1 energy output hatch. It'll accept any energy output hatch, but I think it only outputs EV energy or something. I don't know. Anyways, because I only need EV energy out of it, I'm going to use an EV energy hatch. And then there's 2 titanium gearboxes, your diesel energy or your diesel engine block up front. The front has intake casings. And then the rest of the blocks are a mix of just regular casings and input hatches for fuel and oxidizer. So let's lay this out. I'm going to put it such that all the oxidizer hatches are on, or all the input hatches are on this side. I also appear to be short 1 casing, huh? Oh wait, no, I have 1 extra casing rather. Aha, so it forms. Now, you can directly supply it with just diesel in either hatch or any of the diesel variants. In fact, let's see. Does JEI tell us what fuels this can burn? Yeah, burn naphtha, oil. Well, it can burn all these things here. But it really doesn't make sense to burn anything other than the highly boosted diesels. You know, by the time you're making this multi-block, you can make infused nitro diesel trivially easily. So I recommend you go with that. Actually, I wonder, how close are we to being able to make quadratic fuel? We can make aluminium quite easily. Rich naquata. I don't even know how to pronounce this, but that requires. Yeah, we're not quite there yet, huh? We need ZPM energy and. Alright, I'm not even going to bother looking through this. I'm confident we're nowhere near that. So, anyways, I just need to supply it with diesel in one port and oxygen in the other. If you provide it only with diesel fuel, it produces 1 amp of EV power. And if you supply it with both oxygen and diesel, it produces oxygen boosted. I think it has to finish running its oh, does it need lubricant as well? It does, doesn't it? Otherwise it seizes up. The quest book neglected to tell me that. Forgot about that. If you don't provide your diesel engine with lubricant, it'll look like it's running, but it's not actually running. To demonstrate, I separated my EV power from these transformers, right? There's no wires connecting here. So now if I request something to this assembly machine, let's just request a couple more quantum processors, we'll see that no, oh, it is still getting power. Wait, I've been lied to. Then what's lubricant for? Is lubricant not needed? Then why does it show up in the UI? Let's see what happens if we do give it lubricant. So I have a tank of lubricant here that I'm supplying with the ME system. What happens to the motor if I give it lubricant? Well, the number goes up, but the energy output is unchanged. Yeah, I don't know what the effect of lubricant is that. Well, whatever. I will just, I may as well supply it with lubricant. It's not exactly a difficult material to make. And if it has any upside, then it's worth it. As long as it doesn't, hurt. And I can't imagine a world in which supplying lubricant to your diesel engine makes it run less efficiently. So, now that we're producing IV power, or rather, now that we're producing EV power here, 3 amps of it, that's 6144, is exactly 2056 times 3. Wait, is it? What is... hold on. EV is... oh no, it's 2048. I was like, wait, 2056 times 3 isn't 6144. No, but 2048 times 3 is. Never mind, we're good. What we can do is we can switch these from step or transform up transformers to transform down. What that means is now this diesel engine can power all of our HV machines. So I no longer have to add more HV diesel engines to get power. Alright, so I'm going to add a couple more diesel engines, maybe stack this 4 or 5 tall, and that will be our power source for the immediate future, at least our primary power source. I will continue to leave all of our single block engines running. These are slightly less fuel efficient because they don't get the oxygen boost effect that the multi-block diesel gets, but the difference isn't, well, it's 50% more power, so I guess the difference is pretty significant. But I don't know. I'm not going to take these down until they're thoroughly obsolete. At least that's my plan. Voila, 4 very pink diesel generators or diesel engines, each one producing 3 amps of EV, so in total that's 12 amps of EV, and this is a good opportunity for us to take our Spectre power, our Spectre power injector. This is what powers most of our wireless energy. Right now I was powering it with 4 amps of HV, but I can switch it over to EV. So if it's getting 4 amps of EV instead of 4 amps of HV, it'll be in total injecting, because I don't think there's a limit to how much energy the Spectre energy injector can take. So 4 amps of EV is what, 8,000 EU a tick, or 32,000 RF a tick. That's, right now, then that is the limit for how much energy we can transfer wirelessly. Pretty soon, I think we'll be switching over to the flex networks, And at that point, then it really matters how much we can insert into our flux network. Using the Spectre energy, it's less important, I guess, because the Spectre outputs are 1,000 and 4,000, whereas the flux outputs, the flux point outputs, are unlimited. Another good thing about these diesel engines is that it is one of the few GregTech multi-blocks that only consume fuel while they're generating power. So right now we're not using nearly all the output from these engines, and that just means most of them are idling and not actually consuming fuel. In contrast, if you were to use something like the large gas turbine, which can also be an EV generator, right, giving it, various different fuels, such as methane, among other things. But if you were to use a large gas turbine to generate power, you have to either manually shut it off when its output is full, and that'll cause the rotor to slow down and lose efficiency, or let it keep running to let the, to not lose active rotor speed. But in that case, it's consuming fuel and not producing energy. So both of those are less than ideal situations. Whereas a diesel engine, because it doesn't actually have a rotor, it's just it can go from off to 100% power instantaneously, effectively. So in that way, it automatically shuts itself down when its output is, when its energy output hatch is full, and it automatically turns itself on when needed. So it looks like we're not going to actually get around to any ore processing today, but because we're doing power things, how about at the very least, let's set up a diesel generator here in our space station, and we'll use it to power our miner here, what's this miner called again? Orbital laser drill. So previously it was receiving 2.5k RF a tick through the Spectre system, but we can now do better than that. I get one more cryo-stabilized flux duct. Apparently I only had one more cryo-stabilized flux duct, so that's perfect. Now this diesel generator is producing 3 amps of HV, or of EV, and all of that's going into our CEU, which is dumping it into this machine as fast as it'll accept energy. And if we look at it, it's producing output far faster than it was before. It's all getting stored away into our drawers here, or not our drawers, our caches, which are starting to become appreciably full, some of them. What is this cache? Skystone. It's like almost halfway. I'm impressed. We still have to set up a system to transport oxygen, diesel fuel, and lubricant. Has any lubricant been consumed yet? Actually, yeah, it is consuming the lubricant at a very slow rate. So I guess it does use something. But yeah, we have to set up a system to transport these fluids here. We could use an ender tank, a pair of ender tanks for each, but that takes a lot of ender tanks, and I don't think we have 6 ender tanks. Right, we only have 3, and they are almost craftable. I think I don't have void metal yet, but I think I can almost make it. However, given how much we need, and the fact that we're going to be doing our ore processing here, I think I'll just use the Applied Energistics Quantum Wireless, whatchamacallit, network instead. But that'll be a project for another time, because we are out of time today. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. We didn't quite even get close to starting what I was planning on doing at the start, but that's how it goes when you're playing with GregTech, I guess. Yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.